##### author's note. This story is a work of pure imagination. Some terms and explanations might deviate from what we typically encounter in the demon realm. So, please keep an open-minded approach and relish this world crafted by the author. Thank you for opening this book. I sincerely hope you'll enjoy the journey. For updates and chapter teasers, check my I*ST*G*R*M, author, Cassandra M. Or my F_B readers group, Cassandra M.World. ###Alpha, Adan Stone. Get out. I commanded the female kneeling before me in a frigid tone. Fear flashed across her widened eyes. My face was a blank slate of emotions as I rose from the single couch I'd been lounging on. I pulled up my trousers, buttoned and buckled the belt, then strode to the other side of the room. The female, still on her knees, wiped the drool from the corner of her mouth. Her voice quivered as she spoke. "But, sir, if you weren't satisfied, let me try again." I said, "Get out." My voice was low, but it held a deadly edge. The female scrambled to her feet, grabbed her heels, and without a second glance, opened the door to the private room and walked out. I reached for the whiskey decanter and refilled my empty glass. I tipped the glass to my lips, sipping slowly as my eyes roamed over the bar below. I was on the second-floor VIP section of this gentleman's club, looking down at the crowd. The large one-way glass window allowed me to see everyone, but no one could see me inside. Soon, the VIP room door opened. Even without looking, I knew it was my beta who had entered. "What the hell is wrong with you? That's the third female you've kicked out tonight. Not to mention the ones from 3 days ago." I didn't answer him and continued to stare at the scene below. This was becoming tiresome. We're just wasting our time here. Why do we keep coming back when no female can meet your standards? Exactly what I'm thinking. Let's go. I placed the glass back on the table with a loud thud, grabbed my coat from the chair, and made my way out of the private room. The moment I opened the door, the loud music crashed around me. The bar reeked of humans, sweat, and sex, yet I couldn't get into the mood. It had been nearly 2 months since I'd had sex, and for the past 2 weeks, I'd lost all appetite, even for a blowjob. There was nothing wrong with my manhood. I could easily get aroused when touched, but as soon as I associated that arousal with the faces of the females in front of me, annoyance would set in, and I'd lose all interest. I no longer had the urge to be with any of them. This was essentially why I didn't have sex with anyone at this point. No one could hold my arousal long enough for me to reach climax. Something was off. And though I didn't show it, I was starting to worry that I'd go feral soon. My wolf, Beast, was already on the verge. There were days when I couldn't control him, so I rarely let him out. When I did, it was usually around my beta, gamma, or my strong warriors. Beast had been a pain in the ass for the past 2 years. For the last 16 full moons, I'd avoided running with the newly shifted pups in our pack. The last time I'd let him out on a full moon run, he'd seen the pups licking and petting each other, gone mad, and almost attacked them. Thankfully, my beta and gamma had been quick to throw him out of the way when I mind-linked with them. Beast wanted a mate, and as time ticked on, his impatience grew. I was 28 years old, and in a few months, I'd turn 29. In the human world, I wasn't old, but for shifters like me, I should already have a mate. An alpha without a mate or an heir to pass on the alpha genes could go crazy, or more precisely, go feral. And I had no idea what to do about it. No one knew the turmoil inside me except my beta and gamma. I didn't tell my father, especially since he and my grandfather kept pressuring me to find a mate, either my fated one or a chosen one. I'd never rushed to find my mate because I thought she'd just appear out of the blue. But it hadn't happened, and before I knew it, I was still mate-less, and my wolf was losing it. My father, grandfather, and the previous alphas of the Mystic Pack all found their mates between the ages of 18 and 23. So, no one had experienced what I was going through. But I felt it wouldn't be long before I was doomed. I knew I had to make a decision soon. A mate or an heir. But with no pleasure in mating, what would I need a mate for? Alpha Stone. A voice snapped me out of my thoughts as an older male in a formal suit approached us. Despite his elegant and formal appearance, I could sense fear and uncertainty in his aura. He was a shifter and the night manager of this club. I was pretty sure the female I'd kicked out had gone straight to him to complain. I'll still pay for the room and the females. My beta will handle it. I didn't give him a chance to reply and was about to leave when his hand grabbed my forearm. A low growl rumbled from my chest. I snapped my head to look at him, my eyes dilating as I gave him a silent warning for touching me. My apologies, Alpha. He stepped back, hands up in the air. I just want to tell you some details to make up for the female's failure to please you. Details? What do you mean? I asked, my forehead wrinkling as I crossed my arms over my chest. I felt my beta move and stand behind me. He was probably as curious to hear the information as I was. Next week, the Omega Feast will be held in this club. He twirled his mustache between his thumb and forefinger. He was nervous.
He should be.
And they say this year's Omegas are more beautiful than the previous ones. I thought I'd let you know, hoping you'll find a female who interests you at the feast. Are you telling me this so I can find a female I like, or because you'll benefit if I spend money on the bid?
No.
It's just that we've noticed none of our females can meet your expectations. So, I thought if you attended this year's Omega Feast. I didn't listen to the rest of his babbling. I turned around and walked away. He and this place had nothing to offer me, and I had no interest in the Omega Feast, just like in previous years. So, what do you think? Colin, my beta and second in command, asked as we entered the elevator that would take us to the club's VIP guests parking lot. Think about what? About the Omega Feast. Are we going? Didn't you see me walk out? I'm not interested. Go on your own if you want. I snapped at him. Why the hell would I go alone? I have a mate. You're the one who needs one. An Omega as a mate? As a Luna? You've got to be joking. Who said anything about a mate? He sneered. I tilted my head to look at him just as the elevator door pinged and opened. I shook my head, slipped my hands into my pockets, and stepped out. If you think I'm going to spend money to buy an Omega as a sex slave, then you're the one losing it. I can just look around. He finished my sentence as we stopped in front of the car. He pressed the key in his hand to unlock the doors. Like we've been doing for the past couple of months? My jaw tightened as I pulled the door open, slipped into the passenger seat, and slammed it shut. We've been everywhere, and no female is worth being with. What do we have to lose? Colin started the engine and drove towards the exit. I suggest we check it out. If none of them can arouse you, we'll leave. No harm done. I remained silent, my elbows propped on the window, my head resting on my fingers as I stared blankly ahead. Alpha, the shifter at the post who checked our car, greeted me. I just waved in acknowledgement. Soon, we were on the highway, heading back to our territory. I picked up the cigarette from the dashboard, lit it, rolled down the window, and started puffing to fill my lungs. The cold wind brushed against my skin, sending a shiver down my spine. The temperature tonight was almost below 0 degrees Celsius, but it didn't bother me. Years had made my skin tougher, more resistant to the cold and harsh northern weather. Think about it, Adan, Colin said out of the blue. Are we still talking about this? My son needs an alpha. If you can't produce an heir, what will happen to our pack? And what do you think will happen to Beast? #, Lucy. I was on my way to the main kitchen from the main floor of the house when I heard Manuel's voice calling for Stella as he entered the kitchen through the exit door. I stopped in my tracks. I'd never liked Manuel. He was as lazy as a pig but mated to a wonderful female. I tried to avoid him as much as possible because we always clashed. I was sure that if Stella wasn't around, I'd have been kicked out of this orphanage long ago because of him. Lucy is ready for the Omega Feast. Make sure she has the right clothes for the ceremony. Manuel blurted out as his footsteps echoed on the kitchen floor. Stella was preparing dinner, and I was supposed to help her. Instead, I hid in the walk-in cupboard to listen to their conversation.
What?
What did you do? Stella asked. I could easily picture the frown on her face. I signed her up for the Omega Feast. They just saw her photo and accepted her right away. My eyes widened, and my hands flew to my chest, clutching my shirt as if it could calm my racing heart. I leaned back against the cold wall, trying to steady my breathing. The mix of spices and scents would hopefully mask my presence, but I knew they'd hear my heartbeat if I couldn't control it. The Omega Feast was where 18 to 19-year-old Omega females were paraded for bidding or a duel if there were multiple bidders. After that, The winner would own the Omega, usually as a pleasure slave. At first, I didn't understand the need for the Omega feast when males could buy females for the night at the growing number of night and strip clubs for both humans and shifters. Then I heard Stella's friends say that alphas and billionaire shifters used this event to boost their egos, wanting to be the most powerful in the North. The organizers were clearly taking advantage of this. But she doesn't have a wolf. But she's 18, right? Yes, she is. But don't alphas usually want Omegas with wolves? Well, she's not the first Omega chosen without a wolf at the feast, so it shouldn't be a problem. They just need to be informed. And if no one wants her, I'll bring her back here, and she can leave next month. But they say she's more beautiful than any other Omega at this year's feast, so I'm sure she'll be chosen. She's a sweet girl. Stella really liked me, and I liked her too. She was the only adult in this place who treated me fairly.
Sweet?
She's reckless and causing too much trouble here. It's better if she goes somewhere useful, and we can make money from her. Besides, I'm sure one day she'll become bossy and order the other wolves around. It's better to give her to someone who can tame her. I snickered quietly. Be careful what you wish for, asshole. I don't know why you don't like her. She protects the pups here. If she has a bad attitude, it's because she's protecting herself and them.
Check. Check.
And I don't know what she did to make you like her so much. I told you don't get attached to them. These young pups are just left with us to be taken care of until they're of age. Once they turn 18, they're on their own. But then, why don't we just let her go like the others? Why do you have to sign her up for the feast? Check again. Because we need money. Are you stupid? This feast happens once every 2 years. We're lucky we have an 18-year-old this year. We didn't have any for the last 2 feasts. She knows she'll be leaving this place next month. Stella sounded worried as I heard the knife hitting the chopping board. Change of plans. She'll be leaving in a week. I'd forgotten that according to the age I'd given them when I arrived 2 years ago, I was already 18. I'd had so much fun that I'd never thought about being thrown into this mess. I leaned against the wall, balled my hands into fists, and closed my eyes, trying to keep my emotions in check. I almost grabbed my necklace but managed to hold back. My name is Lucija, or Lucy, the orphan Omega to the shifters in this orphanage and the people around. But I had a secret I had to keep for as long as possible. I was only half werewolf, and the other half of me was a demon. So, the horns Manuel mentioned might really grow if I couldn't control myself. 2 years ago, on my 18th birthday, I escaped from the Underworld using an invisible cloak I'd gotten from a kind witch in the Netherworld and the necklace I'd never taken off since I returned to the human world. The invisible cloak stopped demons from sensing my presence as I passed them, making it easier for me to reach the portals unnoticed, especially by the demon guards my father had set to watch me. But it lost its magic outside the Underworld, so I left it near the portal I used to come here. The necklace on my neck suppressed my power. With my power suppressed, I couldn't harm any living being in the Netherworld. And without my power, my father, the Prince of Darkness, couldn't track me in the human realm. The demon royals were like gods in the Underworld, but we followed the rules of other realms. We couldn't just take humans to our world unless they sold their souls to demons or volunteered to go. And once they were there, they were ours, body and soul. Yes, my name is Lucija, Demon Princess of Chaos. My father had spawned hundreds of demons over the centuries, all males. I was his first and only daughter. It didn't matter to him that I had werewolf blood. That's why I ran away as soon as I turned 18 and could use the portal alone. My father wanted to purify my blood, removing all traces of werewolf blood through rituals, offerings, and the natural insemination of demons' seminal fluids. In short, sexual orgies. Although rituals and sexual orgies were common in the Underworld, I wasn't interested. I didn't want to lose the blood that connected me to my deceased mother. Besides, my body was mine, and I'd do as I pleased. My father couldn't tell me what to do with it. And neither could these shifters. That's why I had to leave this place before I was in even more trouble. I quietly left the room and rushed to my assigned bedroom. Once inside, I started packing my few belongings, including my life savings, into a backpack I'd gotten as a hand-me-down. The bag wasn't big, but it would hold my essentials for a few days. The cold weather didn't affect me. My body was built to withstand all weather. If I had nowhere to go, I could find a cave to camp in for the night and continue my journey the next day. But I had no idea where to go. I'd chosen the north because there were no rules governing the shifters here. As an Omega, or at least pretending to be one, I didn't need a pack. It was enough that I'd lived in an orphanage that took care of minors until they were of age. That's why I'd said I was only 16 when I came here 2 years ago. Without a wolf and no records, no one doubted my age. I was supposed to leave the orphanage next month. I'd even thought about living as a human. Maybe leaving a month early wasn't so bad. I just had to get as far away as possible, at least until the feast, so no one would come looking for me. The door to my small bedroom opened. I jumped and tried to hide my backpack under the blanket, but it was too late. My small dresser was open, and my clothes were scattered from the floor to the bed, as if someone had ransacked the room looking for something. What are you doing? Hashtag Lucy. What are you doing? Manuel's eyes narrowed as he scanned my messy little room. Stella was holding his arm, trying to stop him from entering. I'm looking for some money. I found it. I just misplaced it. I replied casually as I started picking up my clothes from the floor and folding them. Stop lying. Were you in the kitchen earlier? What kind of question is that? Of course, I've been all over the house. What's going on? I turned around, put my hands on my hips, and tapped my foot on the wooden floor, looking back and forth between them as if I was impatient for an answer. Nothing, dear. I need help with dinner. Can you come down and give this old lady a hand before the pups starve? Stella spoke sweetly, but I saw worry in her eyes. Something was about to happen.
Sure.
I'll just tidy this up and go down. 5 minutes. Okay. She smiled and pulled her maid away from my room, but Manuel kept looking at me. I knew he didn't believe me. He knew I was up to something. To hell with him. As soon as the door closed, I grabbed the backpack from under the blanket, locked the door, pulled up the window, and looked outside. The locked door would give me some time if they came back to check on me. My bedroom faced the back of the orphanage. 2 floors down was a receiving room, often used for guests. If no one was in there, no one would see me jump from the baluster to the baluster. This wasn't the first time I'd climbed out of my bedroom window, so I wasn't afraid of falling. I just had to be unseen. I slung the backpack over my shoulders and climbed out of the window. I held onto the windowsill, swung my foot down until I reached the upper doorframe of the room below. I used it as leverage, pushed myself up, and landed perfectly on the balcony of the old library that only I ever visited. I dusted off my hands and checked if there were lights in the receiving room below. My heart sank when I saw the lights shining through the window. I bit my lip, thinking about what to do next when a voice from above snapped me out of my thoughts. She's running away. Manuel's voice rang out. I looked up and saw him pointing at me from my window.
Shit.
I didn't have time to think. I jumped off the balcony from the 2nd floor and landed on the dusty ground with a loud thud. I looked at the receiving room window and locked eyes with a tall, bearded man. His forehead wrinkled, but I didn't have time to analyze him. I dashed towards the forest, knowing it was the exit from the orphanage perimeter. My feet moved faster than usual. It reminded me of the speed I'd used when running from the demon world. I was running fast, but it was nothing compared to the wolves chasing me. I could hear their paws thudding on the ground, getting louder as I ran. My hand went to the opal stone on my neck. I just had to take it off, and I could summon my power to save myself. But did I really want to be saved? Wolves or demons? Choose, Lucy. My hand dropped to my side as the wolves overtook me and surrounded me, with one blocking my way. I slammed into the wolf and was thrown back. My ass hit the ground hard, followed by my back, and pain shot through my body. I thought I'd broken my spine. I lay on the dirt, eyes closed, chest heaving. I wondered if my small backpack could protect me. I heard shuffling and knew they were shifting back to human form. She's too fast for an Omega. A deep voice made me open my eyes to see a big, naked man looking down at me, his erection clearly visible. But we're faster, another voice said. I just lay still, wondering if I'd ever be normal again. What's your name? I looked at them, but didn't answer. My back still hurt. Didn't you hear? Her name is Lucy. The big man answered. The other man crouched beside me, near my head. If I turned my face, I'd see his private parts. Listen, we'll take you and prepare you for the Omega feast. Be a good girl and stop running. I promise you won't be hurt. I don't want to be part of the feast. I blurted out, closing my eyes. This is out of your control, little Omega. If you try to run again, you'll be punished. Are you trying to scare me?
No.
I'm telling you what will happen. I didn't even get to say goodbye to Stella or the pups at the orphanage. The men who caught me just threw me into the car that had followed us in the forest. Only Manuel was with them. He openly told them I was stubborn and that they had to watch me because I'd definitely try to run away again. I rolled my eyes, crossed my arms, and sat in the car. The three men inside were silent, so I took the opportunity to rest my eyes and think about my life. I leaned back on the soft cushion and closed my eyes. Wolves or demons? Wolves. It would always be wolves. I was 11 when my mother died of a broken heart. Months before, my adoptive father had been killed, and she couldn't recover. My adoptive father and mother were both shifters and fated mates. They'd been together long before I was born. No, my mother didn't cheat. It was all my father's fault. Lucian, my father, the Prince of Darkness, wandered the human realms. His sexual appetite wasn't limited to she-demons. He wanted to experience all species. One day, he saw my mother and was smitten. He tried to seduce her. But my mother was loyal to her mate. She chose her mate over and over again. As a demon prince, my father couldn't handle the rejection. He took her forcefully in his incubus form, night after night until he got bored. Then he left her and never bothered her again. But he didn't know that an offspring was conceived from his cruel act. My mother's mate, Diego, knew everything and didn't leave her. He helped her raise me and never made me feel like an outsider. In fact, I didn't know I wasn't his until I accidentally summoned my power and killed a rabbit with fire when I was 6. With my power unleashed, the portal to the Underworld opened, and my father, the demon Prince of Darkness, appeared and claimed me as his daughter. My real father didn't take me that day, but my life changed forever. I knew one day he'd come for me. My mother had prepared me, but as a child, I couldn't understand everything. The necklace around my neck was from my mother. She'd buried it in the cemetery near our home, along with some money she and my father had saved. She'd hidden them there after my stepfather died. She knew her time was running out and wanted to give me options if I didn't want to stay in the demon world. My mother and her fated mate, my stepfather, loved me. Their love was the only thing that kept me from falling into darkness. Even though they were gone, I still hoped to find the same kind of love one day. A love that would cross all boundaries and save me from the darkness inside me. My saving grace. That's why I was still here, alone in the wilderness, protecting the part of me that held onto the hope of finding a mate. But without a wolf, I had no idea if I'd ever find him, or if he'd ever find me. Hashtag flashback. Hashtag Underworld. Hashtag Lucy, 13 years old. Hashtag Lucy. My hands were red and itchy from an hour of target shooting with fire. I was bored. I blew up the whole target range and walked out of the pit where I'd been practicing. I warned my mentor, Gargan, not to tell my father, or I'd blow his face off next time. No, I wasn't afraid of anyone. Despite my stubbornness, I was my father's favorite. He doted on me, and no one was allowed to touch me. But I did get punished only by him. I jumped over the fire hurdles and reached the fields that smelled of burned coals. Demons loved the smell of burning, especially flesh, but I was just getting used to it. Another boring day. I wondered when my father would take me to meet other creatures again. His ability to travel between realms was the only thing I liked about this place because when he took me with him, I met interesting beings. I was halfway to the hot spring when I noticed a light behind a dark, ruined building, as if many bulbs were installed there. This place was always dark, so I was curious. "Who are you?"
I asked.
The female with her back to me had long, shiny black hair that reached below her bum. Even though she wasn't holding anything, she was glowing, as if the light was coming from inside her. The female slowly turned around, and I found myself face to face with the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. I'd seen the goddess of chaos, but this one was otherworldly. She definitely didn't belong in the underworld. "Hello, little wolf." Her voice was like a gentle lullaby. My eyes widened, and I stepped back as I realized what she'd called me. Only a few knew about the wolf inside me because my father had made sure of it. How did you know? I asked, my brows furrowing slightly. Because I know you. Who are you? They call me Celine. You have a beautiful name. And you have a beautiful one too. I smiled at her, but didn't know what else to say. Do you like it here? She asked, and her eyes showed genuine concern. Did my father ask you to ask me?
No.
Will you tell him my answer?
No.
It's a secret I'll keep forever.
He smiled at her.
For some reason, I felt I could trust her.
No.
I don't want to be here. I understand. Do you know who I am? I shook my head. Are you a friend of my father? She giggled softly, making her hair sway and the area around us light up. Your father doesn't like me, but we're not enemies. We just don't get along. Oh, are you one of the goddesses of the underworld?
No.
I am the goddess of the moon. My mouth dropped open as I stared at her. That's why her name sounded familiar. My mother used to talk about her. She was the goddess of love and the moon, the one who had mated my mother with my stepfather. My mother and father. Are their souls with you? My body shook, and I wiped the tears from my eyes. I tried to find their souls here. I couldn't. I miss them. Yes, they are with me. Will you tell them I love them? It was hard for me to say the word love. Demons knew about lust, but love was rare. She nodded and smiled warmly. Are they together? She nodded again, bent down to my level, and traced my cheeks with her warm, soft fingers, drying my tears instantly. And they will be together until they are reborn to find each other again. Thank you. I opened my arms and hugged her. She was surprised but quickly hugged me back. Her warmth enveloped me, and it felt like my mother's hug. I will always look after my wolves, including their souls. Are you looking after me too? I'll try, and I'll keep trying, as long as you give me a part of your soul. I don't understand. Listen, little one. As long as you have wolf blood, I'll do my best to take care of you. But if your father takes all of it, I can't help you anymore. I don't understand. One day, it will make sense. Just remember meeting Celine. She turned to leave, but I ran in front of her. Do I have a mate? All my wolves have fated mates. I'm a wolf too. She just smiled. My eyes watered. Why couldn't she just say yes? Are you not going to give me a mate? It depends on you. I don't understand. Remember, all wolves have fated mates. But if you're no longer a wolf, then my mate would be alone. My heart ached, not just for me but for the wolf who is meant to be my mate. But how can I find my mate if I'm stuck here? You'll find the answers in time. She touched the tip of my nose. Your fate is in your hands, but you can see the future. But I'll never interfere with your free will. The future can change, especially when your heart changes. She smiled again. I have to go now. I came to visit someone special, and my mission is done. I nodded and moved out of her way. I watched her float away, and the path she walked on sparkled as if she left a trail of stardust. Celine, I called out, making her stop. Do you think my mate will like me? Because I'm a demon. I said the last part softly. My eyes watered as I remembered how my mother had tried to hide my identity. Demons weren't welcome in the human or werewolf realms. What if he didn't accept me? She turned her head and looked at me. The love in her eyes gave me hope. You have to find each other to know the answer. Hashtag, 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 end of flashback. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag Lucy. Wear this. A female handed me a paper bag. I looked at it for a moment, and then around the room. I was sharing a small room with 9 other Omegas. They were all given paper bags. The others were excited, chatting and comparing the skimpy clothes they'd received. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Why hadn't I run away in the last 5 days? Why had I thought it would be easier to escape after being owned by a pack? Among the 9 females, only one felt the same as me. We didn't want to be part of this feast. The others were too excited. They said they had nothing to lose, so it was better to be bought by an alpha or a rich man. I wonder what they thought about mates because they didn't seem to care. I, on the other hand, would do anything to find mine. What are you two waiting for? Cora, the older female who'd given me the bag, glared at me and Olivia. Do you want me to call Caesar to dress you? I rolled my eyes, looked at Olivia, and nodded. She sighed, and we both started rummaging through the bag. I frowned as I pulled out a shiny gold bra that was clearly too small for me. I knew the dance we'd practiced for days was seductive, but I hadn't really thought about the clothes. I looked at Olivia, and she had the same expression. Move. Don't act like a princess. Or I'll push you both on stage naked. I balled my hands into fists. I really wanted to punch her.
Put it on, Lucy.
Maybe the one who buys us just needs a housekeeper. I pulled off my shirt and bra, tossed them into the bag, and took out the sexy outfit. If they just wanted housekeepers, they wouldn't be here spending money. I'm sure they're here to use us. We should have run away. I told Olivia as soon as Cora left the room. You know, I can't. My family will suffer if I do. Your family sucks. How could they sell you? When you're hungry and have 4 crying siblings, you'll do anything. If I was hungry, I'd never have kids and make them suffer. Olivia was silent as she put on her blue, colored outfit with long beads that covered her midriff. My outfit was just a bra and thongs, but at least there was a wrap, a round skirt that I was sure would be taken off soon. Sorry if I was harsh. I sighed and wrapped the skirt around my waist. You're right. But what can I do now? She sat down and looked at the floor. I sighed again, lifted her chin, and said, You'll go out there and kill the dance. Maybe your mate is out there. And if not, I hope your buyer is handsome and worth looking at every night, or every hour. She added, and we both giggled. The other girls in the room rolled their eyes. Ignore them, Olivia said, and I turned my back. If I didn't suppress my demon side, they'd be in hell right now. But I couldn't let my anger take over. These omegas were the least of my problems. Should we do our hair? I asked Olivia as I stood in front of the mirror. I gathered my hair and tried to put it up, but the roots showed my strawberry, blonde hair, which was getting darker, almost fiery red. I only had 1 box of hair color left, and I hoped the person who bought me would let me buy personal stuff. I didn't want anyone to see my real hair color. Cora said someone would do our hair and makeup. But you don't need makeup, Lucy. You're beautiful. You too. But I hope they put ugly makeup on us so no one buys us. Before Olivia could answer, the door swung open, and Caesar, a burly man with a dirty beard, came in. Line up. Let me see your clothes. All the girls quickly lined up. Olivia took my hand and walked with me to the end of the line. Take that off. Caesar barked. I looked up at him. He was looking at me, making me frown. What? I looked down at my clothes, checking if I'd worn them wrong. Your necklace.
No.
I grabbed the opal stone on my neck and shook my head. He stepped towards me and tried to grab the necklace. I swatted his hand away. He was shocked, and then his hand hit my jaw, sending me crashing to the cold floor. I couldn't even get up when he crouched beside me and grabbed my jaw tightly. It hurt. Who the fuck told you to disobey me? I heard footsteps and Cora's voice. She stopped me from answering, but I kept trying to push his fingers away. What's going on here? Cora's eyes widened as she rushed over and slapped Caesar's back. Let go of her. Caesar growled, and let go of my face. I slumped on the ground, keeping my mouth open to ease the pain. What have you done, you bastard? They'll kill us if her face is bruised.
Let me see.
Oh, goddess. Bruno, take her to the makeup room. And someone, get some ice. Olivia was separated from me. With nearly 50 omegas around, I had no idea where she'd been taken. But since we'd rehearsed the dance together, I hoped we'd be on stage at the same time. I glanced at the wall clock. It had been 10 minutes since the host started the event, and I could hear his voice from the main floor where the stage was set up. He was stating the rules. I wanted to pay attention, but my eyes kept wandering. The building was elegant. I'd never seen such fine furniture. It meant the people here could afford to spend money on us. I thought it was disgusting. The backstage door opened, and the noise got louder. Applause. What was happening? Then I realized the girls were being lined up. Was it time? But where was Olivia? Lucy. I turned and saw Olivia walking towards me, smiling widely. I was shocked by her clothes. She was wearing regular jeans and a shirt. What happened? I asked, confused. Her eyes filled with tears as she hugged me. Your prayers for me, they came true. What do you mean? Mr. Zaxton, the event organizer's son, is here. He's my mate. My mouth dropped open, and my heart warmed for her. At least she was getting out of this mess. Oh, goddess. That's amazing. I was really happy for her. She nodded. I hope the same for you. Go now. Cora interrupted and pushed me to follow the girl in front of me. I lost hold of Olivia's hands. That your mate is here and will save you, she said as I was led backstage. My heart ached because I knew I'd never find my mate tonight. A wolfless girl, like me, didn't stand a chance. But I was happy for Olivia. And I wasn't losing hope. I just had to strengthen my wolf blood and wait for my wolf to come out. I held my necklace as I followed the line of girls towards the stage. It was worth getting slapped by Caesar. No one asked me to take off my necklace after that. The crowd was getting noisier, the kind of polite chatter and slow applause from the elites, not the rowdy hooting of regular events. I knew it was time. My hands started to sweat, which wasn't normal for me, even when I was nervous. My stomach was churning. What was going on? I hoped it wasn't about my father. The stage lit up, and I found myself in the center with the other girls around me. The music started. I closed my eyes to avoid looking at the crowd as my body swayed to the rhythm.
Sway.
Sway slowly.
Down. Sway.
The applause got louder, and there were curses. The elites were losing their composure as the dance got more provocative. I opened my eyes as I turned, and my eyes locked with the darkest blue eyes I'd ever seen.